You've been making decisions in crowded rooms and crowded browsers. Thumb on a notification, heart rate just a shade too high. You tell yourself you're rational. But if we were honest, most of your analysis is a rehearsal of fear and hope, not a test of reality. Today, let's change that. Not with hacks, not with platitudes, with thought experiments. The same kind that helped a quiet patent clerk disturb the laws of the universe. We won't solve physics. We'll solve something closer, the way you choose. Here's the hidden ache you recognize in your chest. You are tired of paying for decisions that were made by your impulses but signed by your name. Tired of promising tomorrow's energy to tonight's anxiety. Tired of thinking you need more information when what you actually need is a cleaner question. Einstein didn't ask for more facts, he asked for the right frames. That's the switch we'll flip. First, a truth you may not like. Better thinking does not always feel kind. It feels cold for a few seconds. Then it becomes mercy. A mercy that frees you from indecision and self-betrayal. If you can tolerate those cold seconds, you can change your life. Thought experiment 1. Ride the light. Einstein once asked, "What would I see if I rode alongside a beam of light?" It sounds like a child's daydream, but it forced a contradiction wide open and gave birth to relativity. Speed and time had to bend because light would not. Your version is simpler. Choose a decision that's stealing your sleep. A career pivot, a relationship boundary, a risky project. Now imagine you ride the light. You go all in, sprinting at full speed with your favorite story about this decision. What stays the same no matter how fast you go? That is your invariant. In physics, the invariant is the thing that doesn't change when everything else looks different. In life, the invariant might be a value you refuse to trade, a constraint that will not move, a fact that will not bend to your wish. Maybe it's your health, your integrity, the minimum income you need to keep the lights on, the legal reality of a contract, the finite hours in your week. You are not afraid of action. You are afraid of discovering which parts of your story are illusions. Find the invariant and you will notice something. Anxiety drops. Options tighten. Suddenly you can say, no matter what, I will not trade X for Y. The decision is no longer a storm. It's a corridor. If your story asks the invariant to move, the story is wrong. That one sentence could save you months of heroic self-deception. Thought experiment 2. The train and the lightning. A passenger on a train sees two lightning strikes hit the front and back of the carriage. On the platform, a different observer swears they weren't simultaneous. Both are right, because simultaneity depends on your frame. The event didn't change, the vantage point did. Your decisions are full of phantom simultaneities. From inside your moving train, your mood, your inbox, your urgent deadline. Two options look like they happen at the same time. Stay or go, accept or decline, commit or wait. It feels flat, binary, immediate. Step off the train, change frames. Ask, if I were the customer, what would I see first? If I were my future self 6 months from now, which consequence arrives earlier? If I were a critic who dislikes me, what would be obvious here? If I were a Stoic, what part of this is actually within my control? You will notice arrivals shift. What looked like a single moment splits into a sequence. Something that felt urgent was simply close to your eyes. Something that felt distant was actually decisive. This is not an empathy trick, it is geometry. A frame is a coordinate system for meaning. The way out of outrage, infatuation, and panic is not more courage. It is a different coordinate system. Two people can be sincere and still contradict each other because they live in different frames. Before you argue, switch platforms. Practical move. Write a one-sentence description of the decision from 3 frames: customer, competitor, future self. If the sentences fight each other, you don't have a dilemma, you have a frame error. Fix the frame and half the dilemma dissolves. Thought experiment 3. The elevator. Einstein noticed that standing in a sealed elevator accelerating upward feels the same as standing still in a gravity field. Inside the box, your body cannot tell which force is which. That became the equivalence principle. In your life, pressure feels like pressure, but there are 2 kinds: gravity, expectations, culture, tradition, algorithms, family narratives that press down on you. Acceleration, self-chosen, self-generated push that points where you want to go. Inside the moment, the symptoms overlap: tight chest, shallow breath, urgency. You call both stress and treat them the same. Open the hatch. Drop a pencil. In the elevator, a dropped pencil reveals the truth. If you're accelerating, the pencil seems heavier against the floor. If you're in free fall, it floats. In decisions, ask, if no one were watching, would I still feel this pull? If applause vanished, would this still matter? If I remove the scoreboard, likes, titles, status, does the desire remain? If the desire vanishes with the audience, you were obeying gravity. If it stays, you were choosing acceleration. Most burnout is gravity burnout, carrying other people's meanings while calling it ambition. Most sustainable excellence is acceleration, meaning that produces its own thrust. The cure is not rest alone. It's weight loss at the level of identity. Decide which weights aren't yours. Set them down. Keep the drive that survives the silence. Thought experiment 4. The twin paths. The moving twin returns younger. Velocity and gravity change the rate at which time is experienced. It's a physical truth. It's also a psychological one. Not all hours are equal. In some environments, a year passes and nothing inside you ages. No skills accrue, no relationships deepen, no nerve thickens. In others, one intense season matures you 5 years. This is personal time dilation. Look at your calendar like a physicist looks at space-time. Label your hours by their aging effect. What stretches time? Doom browsing, status loops, committees that rehearse decisions they refuse to make. What compresses time? Focused work that compounds, deep rest that repairs at depth, conversations that sharpen your questions. You will notice a pattern. Environments that reward signaling over substance freeze your inner clock. Environments that expose you to reality, feedback, skin in the game, iteration, speed your growth even when outcomes are uncertain. Stop asking, will this be successful immediately? Start asking, will this compound if I survive the first cycles? Choose projects where the work pays you twice, in outcomes and in capability. A secret, courage also dilates time. One clean boundary today saves months of vague resentment. One direct conversation today prevents a year of politics. The most expensive decisions are usually the ones you postpone because your fear speaks good English. Interlude, the mathematics of honesty. Philosophers chase first principles. Psychologists map our shortcuts, loss aversion, availability, the effect heuristic. Both traditions agree on this. The mind edits reality to protect the story of the self. You are not uniquely weak for doing this. You are human. So give your story a job. It must submit to experiments. Thought experiments are not fantasies. They are handles on the world. They force your narrative to collide with a constraint. This is why they work. If you want something practical, here is a template you can run in under 5 minutes. 1. Ride the light. Name the invariant you won't trade even for success. 2. Train enlightening. Rewrite the decision from 3 frames and notice which urgent disappears. 3. Elevator. Remove the audience and see if the desire survives. 4. Twin paths. Choose the option that pays you twice and ages you less per month. You do not need to win by bravado. You need to narrow the corridor until courage can walk straight. Story. The night decision. Imagine a quiet apartment at 1:12 a.m. The notification lights the room. A message, an invitation that flatters your scarcity. It promises visibility and vague upside if you say yes. Now, your pulse lifts. You start composing the reply in your head while brushing your teeth. Light experiment. Invariant. You will not trade your integrity or your sleep for attention. Frame experiment. From your future self's platform, the urgent turns small. From the recipient's frame, your quick yes makes you cheaper, not valuable. Elevator experiment. If applause vanished tomorrow, would this still help your craft? Maybe not. Twin paths. One choice compounds skill, the other compounds FOMO. You breathe. You slow down. You reply in the morning with clarity instead of hunger. The alternative timeline, where you said yes in the dark, disappears without a fight. You didn't become smarter overnight. You became measurable. The reward isn't a moral halo. It's quiet. Quiet that lets you hear the next real signal. Uncomfortable truths. Most difficult decisions are not 51 to 49 problems. They are 90 to 10 problems your fear keeps foggy. You say, "I'm torn." You are not torn. You are waiting for permission to do the thing you already know is right and costly. Urgency is often the costume of manipulation, external or internal. When a decision withstands a night's sleep, it is rarely urgent. When it cannot, it is rarely good. Clarity has a price: loss. You will lose certain fantasies about yourself. You will lose the identity that says, "I am the kind of person who is always needed." Good. Let it go. You gain the power to shape events without becoming hostage to them. Another twist: your brain uses more research as a way to avoid grief. At some point, the kindest act is to accept that an option is dead and to bury it. Grief clears the runway. Denial clogs it. When Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge, he didn't mean facts don't matter. He meant imagination chooses the test. It arranges the furniture of reality into a question that reveals something new. Your life needs fewer data dumps and more decisive questions. So ask them. Ask the light what refuses to move. Ask the train where you're standing. Ask the elevator whose weight you're carrying. Ask the twin which path compresses your time into growth instead of draining it into noise. Then act. Act in small, clean moves, because small, clean moves compound. Craft a one-sentence invariant for your next decision. Draft a reply you can send after sunlight. Schedule the hard conversation on the calendar where everyone can see it. The point is not theater. It is trajectory. A closing image. You don't have to write a beam of light. You only have to hold a mirror to your thought long enough to see what stays when speed strips away your excuses. When you start choosing with invariants and frames, you will look suspiciously calm. People will ask for your trick. There isn't one. You're simply measuring what they are still romanticizing. The universe is indifferent to your narrative, but it is faithful to structure. Build your decisions like you'd build a bridge, around forces that don't care about your opinion. You will stop being the person who survives chaos and become the person who prevents it. Tonight, you can change one decision, not by feeling braver, but by asking a better question. And tomorrow, when your future self sends back a report, it will be brief. You traded noise for signal. You traded gravity for acceleration. You traded borrowed time for compounding hours. You are aging well. That is the Einstein switch, not a genius trick, a humane one. A way to step out of the moving train, see clearly, and choose a path that keeps paying you long after the applause fades. And if you still doubt, remember, light does not need your belief to travel. It only needs space. Give your choices that kind of space. Then step through.